Hey everyone, hello. This is Jill Hope here. I wanted to share a little bit on a common limiting belief that I know some of our facilitators have had, and perhaps you've had this as well. And I want to give my perspective on this, but I do think that this is sort of one of those universal beliefs that many of us experience. I know I have seen people in different groups that I'm in, different coaching groups, and I've had clients who've had this issue. I know our facilitators have had the issue. So I want to share this idea with you, and perhaps it can help if you yourself have ever had this issue or are experiencing it now. And it's this idea that if you're working on something and it's not going smoothly as you'd like, and you're hitting a number of roadblocks, that means that God must not want you to do this, or that you must not be meant to do this type of work. And that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, that is just another way that we sabotage ourselves, is we glom onto that belief and we think, okay, well, I better stop because I guess God doesn't want me to do this, or it would be easy. You are not giving yourself enough credit when you do that. The truth of the matter is that if you're hitting roadblocks, it's because something inside of you is creating that. Because let's look at this logically for a minute. God gave us free will, and he gave us free will for a reason, because he wants us to make our own choices. So why would God give us free will and then at the same time block us from doing certain things that we feel guided to do? Does that make any sense? I have a mentor who actually gave this example, so I'll share this with you because I think this is so awesome. He was talking about, if you wanted to buy a pair of shoes, and let's say that, you just couldn't come up with the money for the shoes. They were, some fancy, I can't even think, I'm not a big shoe person, so I can't even think of some of the amazing shoe brands out there, but what were the ones that Carrie Bradshaw used to wear in Sex and the City? Was it Manolo Blahnik or something like that? Anyways, let's say you want to get these shoes, you've got your eye on them, and you just can't get yourself to that point where you want to put down that money on those shoes. But so does that mean God stopped you from getting them, or God didn't want you to have the shoes? And then on the other hand, we've got Hitler, who killed millions of people. Does that mean that God wanted Hitler to do that, and that's why he didn't stop him? We have to think logically about what we're actually telling ourselves, because a lot of the stuff that we are deciding and then making choices based on are lies. We buy into a lot of lies to hold us back and keep us safe. The ego wants us to be safe, and it sees any kind of change as a threat. So it doesn't distinguish between a threat that can actually, physically harm us, and a threat that is actually going to change us for the good and be transformational. It doesn't know the difference. It sees all change as a threat, and it's going to try to stop you. Okay, so if you're buying into the stories that your ego is serving up, things like, well, I guess God doesn't want me to do it, then the ego wins and you don't change, because then you take a different action. You basically stop moving forward. In the Bible, there's this passage that says something along the lines of, God did not give you a spirit of fear. So if you're feeling fearful about something, that's not coming from God. That's not God sending you a message to stop. That is coming from something inside of you that is definitely worth looking at, because if you don't, it will stop you. But it's not God trying to get you to not move forward on something that is a deep desire. Now let's look at desire for a second. Desire, at the very root of that word, desire means of the Father. Our desires don't come from us. They are given to us. They land in our heart and in our soul. And basically, what I have come to believe over the years is that Our desires come from God. It's God wanting to experience whatever that desire is through us, through our unique expression of that. So when you have a desire, and it's a true heart and soul desire, and then you're struggling to actually move in that direction, why would God give us that desire and then try to stop us from achieving it? Again, that makes no logical sense. So if you are finding that you're hitting a lot of roadblocks and that things just aren't working out, it's very likely in your thought process. It's something that you're telling yourself so that it's altering the types of steps you're taking forward, and it's creating a situation that you don't like, so you stop. And then it's sending you more messages about what that means that that's happening to get you to agree that you do need to stop. And it's really nothing more than that. So if you want to move beyond that, and I'll tell you, another thing my mentor used to say is new level, new devil. As you continue to move up and expand in your life, there's going to be a new devil that comes in and tries to stop you. And it's really just a new level of thinking about yourself and about what you're doing. And so we need to continuously break through this stuff. I don't believe anyways, that we actually ever get there where we've cleared out all this stuff and we can freely move forward. I mean, sure, we do make things a lot easier for ourselves as we expand and grow, but there's always something new. There's always a new layer that we can explore and move beyond within us. And that is how we expand our consciousness. That is how we expand our life. That is how we continue to do the work of God. You know, those desires, we're expressing those desires out through us to benefit the world, to benefit all those that we come into contact with. So when you're looking at your situation, and if you're finding that, you know, this is really a struggle and what's going on here, a good question to ask yourself is, what would I have to be thinking or believing for this situation to show up in my life? And write it down. Write whatever comes up in response to that question. That is a really good question to root out some of those deeper beliefs that are likely causing the situation that you're in. Once you get the belief, then you really need to look at the truth of it. Does this make logical sense that this is a truth and that this truth has to stop me from moving forward? Is it really true? Another thing you can ask yourself is, how do I feel when I believe this? Because if you don't feel good when you think that thought or when you believe that thought, well, guess what? It's not true. Jesus said, it just flew out of my brain, about, the truth, how did this fly out of my brain? I think this all the time. The truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. So if it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel like it's a thought that sets you free and makes you feel expansive and powerful, it can't possibly be true. Okay? It doesn't align with the belief that God has in you or that your higher self has in you. Okay? There's a misalignment there. If something you're believing just doesn't feel good and doesn't feel freeing. If it feels expansive and it feels freeing to you when you think it, that's your truth. And so that's how you want to decide, is this something I'm meant to do? If the thought of doing it and creating success with it feels good, if that feels like a freeing thought, if that feels like you really expressing your true purpose and your passions and your desires in this life, then that is the truth. And it just means that we want to look at, what are the other ways that I'm thinking that are making this harder than it has to be. And when you can see that and you can peel that back, things become much easier. You start making different choices that don't have to make it hard for you. So I just wanted to leave you with those thoughts. I wanted you to just think about those ideas. If you ever have that feeling that, does this mean I'm not meant to do this? tap into yourself, ask some of those key questions, and you'll probably quickly come to the realization that what the thinking really is, and what the real reason is why it's not working. Because truly, the only thing keeping us from living our dreams is us. Nobody can keep you from it. Nobody can stop you from it. There's no circumstance that can stop you from it. There are no laws that can stop you from it, as long as it's ethical, and of course with all of you it would be. It's just you. It's just you holding yourself back. So I hope that is helpful. I hope this gives you some things to think about. I love connecting with you. I hope to connect with you more, just sharing thoughts like this with you. So let me know if this was helpful. If you would like more of these little mini training sessions, because I'd love to be popping more of these out for you. These ideas, these are the types of ideas I'm playing with all day, every day. So I'd love to share more if it's of interest. So take care, everyone. Love to all of you, and talk to you again soon. Bye.